goes another 20-year-old.
Holy shit, I hate those guys.
Gotta hate 20-year-olds.
Fuck those guys.
Somebody help these 20-year-olds.
It's time to figure it out, Ricky.
Touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me. Can we get a high five to start this one, please?
A little sound speed.
Ooh. Woo.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
Oh, that's the way we should do sound speeds.
just a group high five
Group high
session.
five, yeah.
Also, sick cups we got. I didn't know we had a whole
I
copper
know,
collection
chalices.
here.
Pretty fancy.
Yes.
That's how we do it on Too Many Jams, a show about all things 20-year-old.
With help from friends, experts, and our own personal experiences, we hope to shed some light on those things that leave our age group lost and confused.
Who do we got today?
Today, we are joined by our lovely friend, Ellie Godfrey.
Hello.
She works with us.
She's a 20-year-old.
She's in her 20s.
Yes, I'm in my 20s.
And she is a big podcast person. So the other week when we were working together, we got to chatting a little bit. And Ellie's got a lot of cool stuff going on. So I invited her to come on the show and to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool because, as I was just saying before we started recording, I don't actually know like the Ellie story. I don't know anything about anything. But anything about anyone.
You haven't killed a couple hours behind the bar with her.
No, exactly.
No.
We literally saw each other for 10 minutes at one event.
Not even.
So it's going to be, I'm going to be as much of a podcast listener on this one as well.
There you go.
The questions are all genuine. Robbie has a bit of an idea, so, you two can keep the story flowing.
Okay.
right.
Where should we start? What's going on lately? What have you been up to?
Well, I just finished university. So for all my 22-year-olds out there who are, finishing school, this is for you.
That's when everything changes. That's when the real world starts.
Yeah.
Some people
So
take
I'm
a
in
year.
an interesting place right now. But I did it a little bit differently than most of my friends did. A lot of my friends, they went to like Queens and Western and Laurier, and they did
what up? Go
programs.
Stangs.
They didn't really know what they wanted to study, so they did like a general arts or, something that not, you're at a time, you're graduating high school, and you're like, I'll just go do this. But I always really wanted to do something more specific, so I went to Ryerson for hospitality and tourism management.
And that was right after you graduated from high school?
That was right after I graduated from high school.
So did you live at home or in res at Ryerson?
I lived at home for the first 3 years, and then I went away on exchange for a semester, and now for my last year I've been living downtown by myself, which has been pretty sweet. So the bachelorette life.
Oh,
Downtown.
I got you. We can talk a little bit about that. We've talked about what it's like. I complain all the time what it's like being a single guy in the city. We can get into that, but I want to know about. So take me back. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Forest Hill Collegiate, so I grew up
We're in the
this
village right now.
neighborhood. Yeah,
We're in the
grew-
village.
this
Not
is
too
my
far
hood. This
from
is
where
my
we are.
hood. My grandparents all live in this neighborhood.
Yeah, we hang with them actually.
Yeah, we're actually going there after this for
Some
coffee
homemade
and
stuff.
drinks. Oh yeah.
You went to Forest Hill, and then at high school, were you like, I'm going to hospitality? Like, I know that's what I'm going to do.
No.
Well, your big thing was when did the travel?
So I just I had a lot of throughout high school. I had a lot of stages, I guess. So my first stage, I was like, okay, I'm gonna
Just keep this centered.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna be on TV. Like, I want to be in the TV industry.
Love it.
So then I got on a TV show for one episode. I was on a
What show?
I was on a YTV show.
No way.
Yeah.
It was called Extreme Babysitting. I was on one episode.
Hell yeah.
Hidden prank TV show.
Extreme.
This is hilarious.
It was so funny. And
can we find this online?
You can.
Anywhere?
You can. It's really
We'll have to dig that up. Put it in the
embarrassing.
show notes.
But the crazy thing is that it's all fake. So they didn't get the reaction they wanted from me. So
Shit.
So wait,
TV
explain the
is
premise.
fake.
Explain the premise of the show.
Basically, my mom was like, "Hey, Al, do you wanna go babysit my client's kid?" And I was like, "No." And she's like,
On TV.
And no, she's a TV producer. You might be able to make some connections. And I was like, okay, fine. So both my parents drove me there, and And I was like, this is weird. Like, why are both my
They
parents?
knew about it. They were in on it.
They were in on it. They called my mom because I just didn't audition.
You're a regular Macaulay Culkin. Like, the parents forced you into it.
So then I show up, and it was the weirdest, like, everything about this thing was weird. The dad was like, there wasn't even a mom. There was like a dad, and he was
double dad household. Or
weird.
what are we talking
No,
about?
it was just a dad, and he's like, oh yeah, my wife's out, and I was like, okay. And then the kids were kind of really like, I felt like they were playing a prank on me almost. They were being like really. You know when the kids like don't really care when a babysitter's over? These kids were like attentive. Like they were like, let's do stuff.
You were like on the Truman Show.
Yes.
Everyone was in on it except for you.
Me. But I was a little suspicious because these people, like, I mean, it was a house like at Bathurst and Eglinton. So kind of in like an area where I grew up. And they had like chickens. It was like an eco house. That was like the premise of it. They had like an incubator with eggs in it. They had like this thing. This is the whole thing. They had this puck disc thing where you feed the house and it like runs all the energy in the house. And
like Iron Man.
And so basically like the prank was that the machine was going to explode and like go like not work anymore. And then basically what happened was everything went wrong. Like the machine exploded on me. Like there was a huge mess. The kids were like yelling at me, all this stuff. And then like my friend Lana like runs out and she's like, you've been pranked. And I was like, where the hell did you come from? Like, why are you here?
And they didn't like your reaction, so they refilmed it?
Yeah, so during it, I was suspicious because I could like, the camera guy after was like, you were looking right into my camera lens because there was like a fire pit thing and I was like looking at it. And he's like, yeah, you like, I knew you could tell something was off when I was getting it. Anyway.
Unprankable bitch.
So then I had to redo it and I was like, okay, here like my acting talents are gonna shine. So then
Oh, so you had to redo
so
it,
then
like
I
pretending like you were.
So then I go downstairs. I see my family, my friend's parents, and her because like the producer asks one of my friends to like be the pranker when really like she didn't set any of it up.
Yeah.
And then there's like a snack room and then the control room and then we like redid the whole thing again. Anyway, so that was one phase of my
so
life.
yeah, you were on TV once. You
Then I
realized
became
it's fake
obsessed
as
with the
fuck.
food industry, and I wanted to like be on the Food Network. And then I was like on Eat Street, that show. I like was on an episode.
You were on another show of Eat Street.
Yeah, and then I was like, and then I just became obsessed. By like grade 12, I was like, you know what? Traveling seems really fucking cool. So I was like, and I didn't want to just like waste 4 years in university, like not studying something because I don't really like school work. So I wanted to do something that was like meaningful to me.
Yeah.
So then I found this program. I applied. I got in, and then right after high school, I started traveling, and I have traveled a year's worth. I just actually calculated this. I've traveled a year's worth of time throughout my 4 years of university. So I've done a lot of
summers, like
stuff.
all summers basically.
Summers and exchange.
You did some.
So that was like 6 months worth. I'd say the past like it's from 2018, but before that, I would say that was a good 6 months. Like I was traveling every summer.
What are some of these places?
Okay, so do you want me to go through like all the little
while
things?
like working as well?
Yeah, while working.
A
So
bunch.
it's not just like I was not just like fucking around and traveling. Basically the first right after high school, I backpacked Central America, and I was like, this looks fun, and that was
very safe.
yeah. I was like,
By yourself? With
I
anyone?
went with a company called G Adventures. I was 8. I had just turned 18, and that's like the age that you can go on these things. So I went by myself on this small group travel. They're great. We study a lot about them in the tourism industry.
Cool.
And so I did that for a month, and that was like the first like depth into like the world of travel for me without traveling with like my family or friends and stuff. And then the summer after that, I worked at Fairmont in Banff for a summer, and that was so much fun.
I know, my sister did that.
I recommend everyone go work in Banff.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
so fun. So many Aussies, like basically in Whistler, which is another place where people go. I think it's like 60% Australians.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was out there over the Christmas holiday, and pretty much everyone in the service industry at Whistler is Australian.
Yeah, everyone. So it's so beautiful out there. It makes you really appreciate Canada and where you come from. So I did that for summer, made amazing friends, still in touch with a lot of them. And then throughout like all my travels, I would like take a lot of photos. I got a GoPro, so I'm like obsessed with GoPro. I've marketed myself as like a videographer and photographer for companies, even though I don't like to call myself that.
Do you have one of those GoPros, like the 360
No,
GoPros?
but I would love to get one if GoPro wants to send me one. But basically, I started taking like a bunch of videos, making photos and videos of my travels, and people were like, hey, this is pretty sweet. Like, how do you do this? Whatever. And then by 2017, I was like, okay, I was going to go on Birthright. And I'm Jewish, so Birthright is a free trip to Israel. So I was like,
Yeah, I'm thinking of going Jewish for that one.
Yeah, you know, I actually know someone that is
Converted
not
for it?
Jewish, and they pretended they were, and they went on
I've
a trip.
spoke about this with my uncle. We
I
we
really
had
wanna do
dinner
it.
conversations about
Yeah.
it, about how I could get in.
You look
and do
Jewish.
Birthright.
You could totally go.
Jesus was a Jew.
Let's just make sure they don't see this. And
I'm Jewish from the waist down as well. So like if there's
There you go.
It's all and I think it's also our holy land too, I think, right? Wasn't it part of the whole our story as well?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
would say
I don't really know.
I would say you could totally go if you wanted to. It's a fantastic trip. Like, it was amazing. I can't believe it was a free trip. We slept in Bedouin camps in the desert.
Did you fight any wars?
No.
What's
Okay,
a Bedouin
cool.
camp?
Bedouin camp is like these like people who live in the desert, and they have all these traditions, and we basically like learned about them, and we like it was crazy. Then we woke up and rode camels in the morning. It
Was
really
Bedouin Sound Clash there?
You know, we just missed them.
Okay. Yeah, that must have been where they were born or something.
Yeah.
No.
I'm pretty sure they're Canadian.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe they did Birthright.
Hey, you never know. Maybe they started the whole thing. But so yeah, basically, so after I was like, I want to travel Europe, but I don't have enough money to do that.
Yeah.
So why don't I try to work for some companies and have them pay for my travels in Europe? So throughout the months before I left, I did like a ton of research, contacted a bunch of companies and who I thought were interesting. And I wrote business proposals and said, this is what you will give me, and this is what I can give you. I can give you a sweet video. I can help with like the energy at your place, be like a good vibes facilitator is like what I like to call it. And so I sent all these emails, and some people, like a lot of people, either didn't respond or didn't or said no. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to take no for an answer. So then I contacted the right people at the companies, and I kept pushing for the people who didn't respond. And they all ended up responding and saying, yeah, when do you want to come?
These are all companies in Europe.
Yeah. So the first company was in Italy, the second was in Switzerland, and the third was in Portugal. And so these are companies, like the one in Italy was a flyboarding company.
Fuck yeah.
And we did
dope.
flyboarding off of super yachts in Sardinia, Italy, and that story in itself is crazy because in Sardinia, they don't speak English there. And I don't speak Italian. So
how'd you get along?
It was a crazy story. It's kind of long, but to sum it up, it was a very small company. So I was staying in my boss's house. Like, he was hosting me.
Nice.
All these people hosted me.
Is he the one that you contacted? Like one
Yeah.
that could speak English?
Yeah, and he wasn't even living in Italy at the time. He was living in the UK. So he wanted me to run his business for him with his Italian-speaking workers and who run the jet ski and stuff.
And wait, you hadn't even met this guy. You
No,
just
we
communicated with
we've
him.
Skyped and we talked.
And he gave his house and his company.
But the funniest
dope
thing,
place?
he was like, I was like giving him business advice, and he was like, oh my God, yeah, like come help me with my business. I was like, okay. So basically I show up at his house. It took a long time to get there because anyway, It's a small town on top of a mountain, and I was living with his mom. And his mom is an old traditional nonna. Like traditional Italian woman.
Did she feed you well?
And she wakes, she did. But
couldn't speak any
I
English?
get in there and she's like, fuck. Like she's like yelling in Italian, telling me to leave basically, because she did not want me there, because he had a experience with a different girl earlier that like he did not go well. But I was like, no, I'm different. Like you'll like me, don't worry. Anyway, I was searching ways to get out of there. I was like, this is fucking crazy. I couldn't, no one in town spoke English. I was like, I didn't know what to say to anybody because I was really scared. I was like,
it's fucking like nuts, by the way.
Yeah, it was like nervous. Like it was crazy. Anyway, finally I ended up like, first of all, I learned Italian by the end.
You can speak Italian.
Could speak Italian. Now I haven't practiced, but I know Italian now. Like
enough
basic.
To get along with the nonna.
Enough to argue with the nonna.
And by the end, I was like talking with the bus driver, and I was like talking with the people. But anyway, I found people eventually.
The mob, and now you're in the mafia.
Exactly.
That's insane. Yeah. What a story. Congrats.
So now I'm in the Italian mafia. I work for the Godfather. But yeah, that was a crazy story. I ended up making friends. Everyone was like in their 30s. I was like, they would invite me to their parties. Finally, my boss, Antonello, he finally came and we did the super yacht thing, and that was fucking sick. We worked for the richest family in Holland, in the Netherlands, is what they like to call it.
So wait, what were you doing in this time period leading up to when your boss came? So you get to Italy, you're with the nonna, and then when you're...
I was like I was just like, well, might as well like explore this place. So I went on like a boat cruise.
Oh, you were just kind of hanging.
I was just chilling.
I was taking pictures for him, like content.
I was taking my own stuff, honestly. And then
was he paying you or just giving you a house?
So he was paying for everything for me. So it was like an exchange. It was like a work exchange. So you give me everything for free and provide me a free holiday, and I'll create a video for you and take people out flyboarding. So the first time I actually took people out flyboarding, the people spoke English, like the guests, and the first time I went flyboarding was the first time I was showing the guests how to do the flyboarding.
Oh shit!
So they were like, "Have you done this before?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do it all the time." And then I get up there for the first time, and it was actually pretty good. Like I got the hang of it. And so that was like part of my job. I had to show people how to do the flyboarding. It's fun. So anyway, that was the Italian experience. So I was there for like a month, and then this whole thing happened at the end where I got my scuba diving license while I was there. I had like this thing called barotrauma, so I had to find an Italian doctor and like had to cancel my flight,
just
and
like
then had to take a 12-hour flight.
You damaged your ears?
Yeah.
You didn't equalize.
Yeah, not properly. It was bad. Anyway, that was a whole story, but my favorite part was Switzerland. I worked for a party hostel called Bombers Hostel in Interlaken. And the reason why I found out about it is because my parents traveled there when they were my age, when they were like 18, 19, 20, whatever. And a lot of parents traveled there when they were like younger, backpacking through Europe. It's like the hot spot. Got you. And it is honestly like the best place ever. Basically my job, they paid for everything again. They weren't paying me at the start. And they provided a room for me. I had my own room. They give me money for food. I'm doing all the activities for free. And also the people who work there are like some of the coolest people ever. So I made amazing friends. And by the time that I left, they were like, you can't leave. And I was like, I got to. Like, I have a job in Portugal. And they're like, well, come back. And I was like, well... yeah, I'll come back one day. And they're like, no, come back right after Portugal. Yeah. And I was like, well, I can't. Like, I have a flight home. And they're like, well, cancel the flight home. And I was like, I can't. And they're like, well, all the other companies saw your videos in town, and the paragliding company and the wake surf company want to hire you to make their videos. So if you come back, we'll pay you. The two other companies will pay you. And you'll get everything for free, and we'll just host you for like however long you want. And I was like,
how good at videos are you? Damn.
I was like, okay.
Is this all off the GoPro?
I'm really not that good. No, it's because I also have a drone.
Oh,
so it's GoPros and drone. Drone is key. So I was like, oof, can't like not do that.
So you went to Portugal.
So then I flew to
and then-
Portugal. I worked on an island called Madeira. Sort of similar, like not a lot of people spoke English, but that's where...
That's actually what you get a lot of places around the world that don't speak English. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
it was really cool. It's true. A lot of places.
it's actually crazy. Most places don't.
I know. Fucking American Canadians think everyone speaks English. But that's how you learn. And so then I went there. I worked for a paragliding company. And I was there for 2 weeks. And I made a sweet video for them. And then I was like so excited to go back to Switzerland because to see all my friends that I made. So then I went back to Switzerland, worked for all those companies. They all paid me while I was like having the best time. I went back for Swiss Day, which is kind of like Canada Day. There was like this huge party. And then that was my summer. And it
That's
was
dope.
awesome. It was one of the best summers ever. And then the year after, so then I came home, you know, I was like, they had a club at the hostel and that's where I learned how to like bartend. So then I came back and I started bartending in Toronto. And then in 2018, I went to Australia. Lived in New Zealand. I went on exchange to New Zealand
Nice.
for 4.5 months. But before that, I backpacked Australia. And I was like, you know, why don't I do the same thing? So then
Just rinse and repeat.
I emailed a hop-on, hop-off bus company called Loca. Now they're called Stray, so they're partnered with the New Zealand company. And I was just their photographer, so I was like, hey, you give me this pass to go travel like up the coast for free, and I'll create some photos for you. They're like, okay, yeah, we'll give you this $1,000 pass in exchange for you only need to create 30 photos for us. I was like,
Wow.
You're kidding. Okay. So I was going to take photos anyway of like for my own, just like fun. Cause
Might
that's
as
what I
well
do.
Use it.
So then I like ended up sending them like over 100 photos, but then I just like traveled the coast for free, and they like threw in some free accommodation and
Nice.
stuff too. It was pretty sweet. And then I went to New Zealand and lived in Auckland and traveled like basically most of the country, both islands.
Well, you weren't working there though.
Wasn't working there. I was just studying there. I did like a wine course, and we learned all about wine. I was taught by the first sommelier in all of the South Pacific. He was so cool.
Wait, the first
drink.
master sommelier?
Yeah, the first master sommelier.
Yeah.
His name's Cameron Douglas, and we would have like 9 glasses of wine a class. Like it was crazy.
And would you
And
have
there
to
was
like blind
there
name
was
them?
Yes, we had to do blind taste tests.
Wow.
But we had spit buckets, and all the exchange students sat at the back row, and so we like
Someone
obviously
drank the
we're
spit
not
bucket.
no. Obviously we're not spitting it out. We want to get drunk in class.
Yeah.
So like at the end he'd like come and check, and he'd be like, no one's spitting. And we're like, well, we like to swallow.
How
I'm
old is
kidding.
this guy?
I'm kidding. He was really funny. He'd come to he actually came to Toronto while we were still in New Zealand. He's like in his 40s.
Okay.
He's a cool guy.
I pictured the first master sommelier being like an elderly, maybe Chinese man.
No, this is
No,
like a very
it was-
hard designation to get. So in the South Pacific.
It's yeah, but I mean he this is like his life. Wine is his life. So he was doing this for a while.
Does he have a wife?
I'm pretty sure he does.
Or so wine wasn't his
He-
wife?
I mean,
Just swap
I
the
think
F
his
and
wife
the-
is also like in the industry. Like I'm pretty sure she taught us a few classes too.
Oh, cool.
And they got some good wines over there, eh?
Yeah, they
you
do.
Probably tried
Went
a couple.
to some regions. It was pretty sweet. They have some of the best Sauvignon Blanc in the Marlborough region. But yeah, and then I went to Bali for 2 weeks, and that was the best.
Everyone talks extremely
I
highly of
love Bali.
Yeah,
It
never
was one
been.
of my favorite places I've ever been. I did it solo, like most of my travels.
Yeah, that's crazy
And
though.
it was so good. Like I made so many friends. Everyone's so open-minded and
I just can't believe you were
free-spirited.
solo this whole time. Like you just show up
Yeah.
there and you showed up in Italy and you're like, cool.
Yeah.
No one speaks English.
It's
like,
definitely, I think like a big thing now is like a lot of people want to start traveling solo because they don't want to wait up, like their friends, like the timing doesn't work out, but they're scared to. And a
Mhm.
lot of people, so I like to, like encourage people to do it, because if you're interested in, you know, self-development and, you know, you want to like grow on a exponential level in an amazing way, solo travel I think is one of the best ways to learn about yourself. And
You've done all these trips solo, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
And would you do it any other way? Like, would you?
Well, I guess you really couldn't. That work thing really wouldn't work out with people.
It would, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the thing is, I think for longer trips, it's better to do solo. For shorter trips, it's better to do maybe with friends, because why not?
Yeah.
Also, for like cities, I think it's more fun with friends.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
cities, you can feel like very alone in a city sometimes when it has its own hustle bustle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you're in like a more like cool, laid back place, like Bali, for example, everyone's traveling solo. Everyone's just, it's like a hub of like people meeting, and
you
when
don't have to
hostels,
accommodate anyone else. You know,
no one
you can
else.
Operate on your own schedule.
And you just are meeting
so
many new people. And I mean, I love meeting new people, so it's the best way to do it, really.
Yeah. So Bali, and then was there anywhere else after
And then
that?
I came home, and then I've been home ever since. And then I moved downtown.
Okay, so let me summarize all that. You did what our old our previous podcast guest did, where he just like had an idea, and then he just basically pestered the person until he made it a reality. And not pester isn't the word, but like just like contacted them. Was tenacious. Like our previous guest wanted a job at a company.
Who's your previous?
He's a friend of ours from school, Cody.
Okay.
And he just was like, I want a job here. I can see where I can be useful. He didn't just like say, I want it till they gave it to him, but he's like, I can see where I can be useful to you.
He can see where he adds value.
And then he kept writing, he kept rewriting their blogs because there was errors or like spelling errors, and he just thought he could do it better. And he kept rewriting it and sending it in. And then eventually after a while, like he would go, like went to like a meetup and was like, I'm that guy, like sending it all in. And then eventually they gave him an internship and a job. And,
that's awesome.
And I see a different version of the same thing.
I was thinking the same thing actually when she was telling this story.
And it's funny that you guys are back-to-back episodes, because that's kind of like the first person we've had on that I've seen people use that tactic for not small scale goals, but like more like sales within a company, or like they're trying to sell their own products. So they're like, oh, I went door to door and I just didn't take no for an answer. But this is more like on like a macro scale, like the actual entire thing you're doing was hinging on this persistence right at the start. So from traveling all these places, being alone, meeting all these people, are you, like, did you come out different? Did you? Oh yeah. Like what kind of major takeaways from all that traveling did you have?
Great question.
Thanks. I do this. Is this like 50th episode?
Closing in on 50 actually.
That's
a couple
amazing.
weeks we'll
should
be
have
there.
A party.
We should.
Well, you had a birthday party.
We'll host it on your rooftop.
Yes. So yeah, basically, when people say like, "Oh, traveling changed me," I wouldn't say traveling changed me. I'm still the same person I always was, but it's definitely helped develop me and grow me into the person that I, am supposed to be, I guess. Like, it just traveling is amazing, especially when you go by yourself, because you're faced with so many situations that you have to deal with. And being alone, like, you have to really step outside your comfort zone. Like, no one's just gonna handhold you. You have to like figure shit out on your own with like the logistics of getting around. And then when you arrive anywhere, if you like, I'm an extrovert, so I need to be around people and talking to someone. Like, I can't be by myself for too long. So like talking to people, becoming friends, and also just creating like genuine, like long lasting friendships, even when you're traveling, like that is really important as well. And that's like the people I've met have also helped me develop and grow, and like have changed my perspectives on life, because you grow up and you're living in a community where everyone kind of has the same background, gone through the same sort of life as you, and then you leave that, and a lot of people here have like egos, and then you're like let's say they leave, then they're completely out of their element, and that's just
You
you,
were
as a bare person in the
You
world.
were a nobody
you know?
everywhere you went, which basically stripped you down to, like, you had no preconceptions or anything. So how people interpreted you or interacted with you was you exactly as
being
you are.
you.
You
Exactly.
being you, and then it's kind of solidified. Like, you don't have as much like fakeness that people might have here, because like, oh, I'm keeping up an image, or people think I'm this way or that way.
Exactly.
You were you everywhere else, and you come back and you're like, I'm just more me than ever.
And you're like, people kind of validate things as well. So like, I've always been a very positive person, but I didn't really like think of myself as like, oh, I'm the positive person here. But then when I've been traveling, people have been like, oh, you're a glass of sunshine came into like our hostel. Like they at the hostel, they loved me.
They called you a glass of sunshine.
They're like, you were just like a ray of sunshine that came into the hostel.
Yeah, because everyone's so used to, sort of the same perspective and like being around the same people, right? So it's like you're bringing that
a different energy,
a different energy into somewhere else where they're not used to it, and it's more recognized by the people around you.
Totally.
And if you hear the same thing in 5 different countries, you're like, okay, maybe I'm internationally positive. Like I'm I'm positive
like,
everywhere. So maybe I'm a positive fucking person.
But also you meet people from all over while you're traveling. So you could go to one country, but there could be tons of different international people there. And like,
did you
it's
have
really
that
funny.
did you have that same feedback about other places that you were? Like, for example, did you experience a different kind of energy or perspectives from the people there that was noticeably different from the culture you're used to back home? You got what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of. Like, you mean, are people just different when
was there some
somewhere?
noticeably like...
You mean like while I'm traveling, or while I was like living in New Zealand or something?
Yeah, I guess.
I think it's different when
just
you're
kind of anywhere.
I think it's different because, for example, when I was in Australia, I was traveling along the East Coast in like peak travel time with like all these young like party travelers, and that's very different than like a typical reality in Australia for a typical Australian.
It's actually not.
Well, it's not. That's true. But I'm just talking about, I've rarely met that many Australians in Australia when I was traveling. A lot of people were from the UK. A lot of people were from Europe.
It's funny, if you want to meet Australians, like go to Whistler.
Yeah.
Not
literally.
Australia. If you want to meet...
My sister lived in
It's so
Australia
true.
for a little over a year, and she's now married to an Australian. Met him in
Cool.
Toronto.
Wow, there's not that many Aussies in Toronto.
I know,
Wow,
I'm
they're
just
hard
saying.
to
They didn't
find.
link up in Australia at
No,
all, eh?
zero. She
Yeah.
met them. She met him working at the company, the travel
That's
tourism
funny.
company in Toronto.
That's sweet. Cool.
So you've been to all these places, and I know you've spoke with me the last couple of times that we've chatted that you want to do some more traveling. You're doing a little bit of classes right now. What's next? What are some of the hot spots that you want to hit, like in terms of traveling, like that are on your...
Wait, can I ask one thing? Why, when you're having so much success with like media and travel, did you go to school for hospitality instead of media and travel?
Because it's tourism and hospitality.
Okay.
I was interested in tourism, and it's a business degree. It's a Bachelor of Commerce. It's management. It's part of the Ted Rogers School of Management.
You ever heard of them?
And that's why I chose it. I was like, this is the only way I'm going to be able to do anything in business.
This is to support
So I
still
have a
that
business
same
mind.
dream.
Totally.
Okay.
And before then, I wasn't even like in first year. I wasn't like making good videos. I just only I'm self-taught.
Good enough for fucking
Well-
Switzerland, apparently.
Well, I mean,
for salmon, what's it called? Samarita, or is that Italian place?
Sardinia.
San Benedito
Yeah.
sparkling waters.
Salmonella.
Yeah, salmonella.
You ever been there?
But yeah, so basically, I knew I wanted to do something in I have a very an entrepreneurial mind, so I would love to start my own business one day, doing something in the tourism industry.
Very easy, by the way.
But for now, I think the next trip, when people are in school and in university, and then they're like, okay, should I travel or should I get a full-time job?
Yeah.
I want to travel. I've never tried, like, you know,
You're like,
done
I
a
have
trip.
traveled.
And so now I'm like, but I've kind of did it differently than the typical person, where I have done a lot of traveling throughout university while studying the tourism industry at a professional level in business. So now I'm at a place where it's like my next trip is going to be, you know, there's going to be a purpose for it. I'm going to be, you know, trying to connect with suppliers and, you know, a bunch of people within the industry. Like, connections is big for me for the next step, I think, because, you know, let's say I run my own adventure retreats one day. I think that would be pretty cool.
Wild.
So do it like my own way.
Yeah.
Like with a little badass to it, like a lot of like a
What-
lot, you know,
what
like
would the
badass babe, like, you know, like cool girls just like killing it in the world, like with their own businesses.
Yeah.
I want to do like a cool retreat sort of thing, because I love extreme sports. Like, that's like a big thing of mine. Like,
Oh,
I
shit.
love.
Have you been bungee jumping in Australia, New Zealand, and skydiving?
I've been bungee jumping in Costa Rica and
Okay.
skydiving in New Zealand.
That's what you should name it. Badass Babes.
Maybe,
Retreat.
who knows? But I don't discriminate against men. I love having guys.
I'm a
there
badass
too.
babe, too, I
Yeah,
feel like.
yeah, true.
You know?
True.
It's
So
unisex.
who knows? Yeah, unisex badass babes. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I really want to hit up Southeast Asia first, because when I went to Bali, I was like introduced to like the spiritual kind of world, and there's so many interesting people like in Southeast Asia right now, and there's so many cool co-working spaces, and there's so much innovation. And like the restaurants, like as a hospitality and tourism student being in Bali, I was like, wow, they're killing it. Like, this is amazing. The restaurants are like amazing. Their food is amazing. Like, it's all so pretty and gorgeous and like, I guess, Instagrammable, but like, oh my God, it was amazing. And then, I don't know, there's just so much you can do. Such a free spirit, like chill vibe there. Everyone's so open. So I think, and it's also cheap.
Yeah.
So,
What up?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's definitely somewhere I'm gonna go. And then basically after that, I'll probably just try and like work around the world for another
Lifetime?
like kind of for a year or something. See what.
Do you eventually want to come back here? Is this where you want to settle? Set up
I don't know yet.
your
I
base?
love my whole community is here. My family, my friends. I have a cottage in Muskoka. It's my favorite place in the whole wide world.
It sounded like you said advocado.
Yeah, I heard that
Did I
too.
say-
Like
I thought you were gonna say
avocado?
avocado.
I have a
Avocottage. Advocottage.
Advocottage in
Yeah.
Muskoka. So yeah, I really don't know, and that's the fun about it. Like, the unknown is really exciting
So you're
because
not
you never know who you're gonna meet.
you're not like us in you're not scared of the unknown. You're not sitting around thinking, what am I going to do? You've never really had like just from what I'm hearing, like you seem to have, like you said, a clear focus. Like, you know what you want to do, and you're not afraid
I just
that
don't know the specifics of it,
and
but
that
that's
doesn't
okay.
scare you, and you're not worried. You're not worried about, like, when I think about doing anything.
Yeah.
Like even traveling.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what am I running away from? Am I deferring? Is this going to be good for me? Is this bad for me? What
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
missing out on? Do I have this money? Should I spend it on this? All the unknowns become
totally.
like me, like literally just like frying my circuits. And you're just like, nope, I want to travel. You're not thinking about, I'm missing out at this at home, or this could be spent developing. Like, you're not having these same kind of things that we're having.
No, it's like an internal purpose, I think, that I've always had.
Good word. Yeah.
Yeah, and like my purpose is like I don't like, yes, I see all the fun things going on, and like society telling you like, oh, you should do this, get a job, get paid, like go into a full-time job, like when are you going to start doing this? And once you kind of, and first of all, those are people telling you who have never actually gone and, I mean, I don't know, but a lot of those people haven't gone and done that because they don't know how fucking awesome it is. And once you go and kind of just stop listening to other people, listen to yourself, because why are people trying to tell you how to live your life? And some people can't do this. Like, you have to have confidence in yourself and a purpose and a mission of where you want to go. And not everyone can do it, but if you can, like, you just keep fighting for what you want. And if I'm someone, if I want something, I'm gonna get it. And
I think we struggle with purpose, and you're saying you have purpose, and Robbie and I for a while, like, I think the more we get down this path that we're on now, the more I feel that purpose, and the more I want something, I can see myself like going, like kind of like focused on it and stuff like that. But it was finding that purpose for the longest time that I feel like a lot of people struggle with, because I don't know, in this day and age, there's so many different things going on. It's hard to be passionate about one thing. Like,
that's the theme of the whole podcast.
So right? It's a cool perspective. I have some questions about it. One, what do your parents say? What do they do also? Like, what's their kind of story? And like, what kind of feedback have you got from your life choices from just like the people close to you?
Okay, great questions.
What up, Travis? Here all day.
I also just want to make a note.
She said my questions were great.
I liked the point that she made back there first about doing a little resume check about who's telling you what you can and what you can't do, because they're obviously or whoever that may be, obviously comes from their own perspective and place as well, and I like that just go-getter attitude that you
because like people are gonna tell you stuff, but that's like coming from a place of their own journey. Everyone's on their own journey, and like, you know, actually before I started doing all this stuff, I had all these dreams and ambitions, and I used to say one day I'll be, you know, working for companies and making videos and, you know, doing all this stuff. This is before I even got a GoPro. And then my friends are like, and people would say like, yeah, but then reality comes and like you can't actually do that. And I was like,
who's reality?
Yeah, like, I mean, and then you get a little discouraged, but in my mind I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm gonna like show you.
Trust me. Try telling people.
And then I did.
Try telling people you're gonna be a rock star. It's hard.
Yeah, that's hard.
You have to look them in the eye. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to be a rock star, dude.
You already are a rock star.
I am a rock star, you know, and you have to get over it. But I like what you said too about they're just people. Like, you're like, these are just people telling you what to do. And that's like my main point when describing society and like the structures we've set up, is that it's just people, and this is what we're doing right now. It doesn't mean it's what we've always done or what's universally right, and the universe has said that this is how things have to be.
Everyone's experience is different. It's just
a great way for society to organize, because a lot of people can't do this, and society works. It keeps those people supported. Everything stays together. And no one
will support you until you've actually done something,
right?
And then they're like, oh, okay.
The day we become rock stars is the day everyone goes, yeah, we knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true, yeah.
But we're so proud of you.
But that's why I've always, if someone has like a passion or something, I always support it. I never discourage people.
We're completely the same way, and I think everyone,
unless they're bad at it, I'll tell.
Unless they think they are bad.
Yeah, I'm like, exactly. Yo, like actually, like, maybe learn something or like do a course, or I don't know, dude. Like,
but like when you showed me your song, I was like, this is awesome. Like, you guys have something.
Yeah, it was wicked. Same with when I told you about the podcast. You're like, oh, I want to come on. And I think that mentality comes from being in like sort of the artistic community, right? It's like you recognize that like it feels nice to like be supported by people, so you want to give off that same positive energy. Yeah. But back to
your question.
Tell me about your life, my dude.
Parents, I am so lucky to have such amazing parents. I like family values. I have very strong family values, really close family. My parents split up when I was in grade 10, right after I came back from a trip in England. Right after the TV show, the prank show, in May, and it was like a smack in the face. Like, I did not see it coming. But thankfully, they're still like best friends. They've always been best friends from the start. So we're really lucky that we can all be together still. Nothing's weird.
2 Hanukkahs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's like a lot of presents.
I know.
But yeah, we're still like a happy family. Now my dad's remarried. My mom just bought a house with her boyfriend. It's like a whole thing, but it's all
By the way,
good.
that's a kind of a role reversal there. Like if I were to picture parents splitting up, I would say mom got remarried, dad got a house with his girlfriend. That's what I would have pictured it as.
Yeah,
They just flipped the switch on that one.
I know. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna anyway go into my thoughts about all that, because
We'll save that for another time.
we'll save that for another time. But it's all good. Very strong family values. My parents have, I think they've really created me into who I am. My mom, she's like the most positive person. She's like my best friend. She always, like, whenever I have an issue, she tells me like the rational way of thinking. We just come from she's like made me very mature, I'd say. I've always, I don't know, love her.
But experiences like divorce as well mature kids. You see a bit of the real world.
Yeah.
It brings a little bit of that childhood shield down a bit, where you're like, oh, like things can just happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the real world is so, like, you get matured from that as well. I feel
Yeah,
like.
and I think I became a lot like a really positive after that as well, and that's when I really started to mature.
Yeah.
I had to like be like, okay, this is the situation that I'm in, because when it happened I was like, life sucks, like this fucking sucks, it's never gonna get better, and then I just had to change my mindset. But that's all in the back. That's all like
no, it's important. It's you're painting you're setting a scene.
And yeah, setting a scene, and then basically, I forgot what I was gonna say, but everyone's been very supportive of me. Like, whenever my parents were always the people to say.
Are they entrepreneurial professionals?
My mother she owns her own. She's a jewelry designer. She owns her own company.
Hell yeah.
I hear. Are you into jewelry?
I make some bling. I'm wearing it
That's
right
pretty
now.
nice.
What's going on? We could hang out.
Maybe a collab. I see a collab
Yeah.
in the future, perhaps. And my dad, he works for his dad in property management.
Cool. So they're familiar with entrepreneurship. They're not.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say my dad is like an entrepreneur.
Even though it's a family business, like it was his dad that his dad started.
Yeah.
So he's around it.
He's around it. But like sometimes I'm like, Dad, you should start this business, and he's like, I don't have the money. I was like, I can't. Can you help me? And I was like, I could, but I got my own shit to do. So I don't know where it came from for me. Like, yes, I've been around it, but I really think it's like it comes from within personally. But they've definitely provided like the core values of like who I am.
So they're not on your case. They're not like, what's your timeline? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to work?
They're like, we support everything you do, and we're so proud of you. And I was like, amazing.
Tight.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so lucky because
I sort of have the same.
But it can go two ways. Super supportive parents can also sometimes produce unmotivated. Because you're like,
it's so true.
I could literally like fart into this wind cloud, and my parents would be like, I'm proud of you. You know what I mean?
And can create entitlement.
Yeah. Whereas sometimes with other people, a little bit of nudging from my parents is why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Up.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna do this. Yeah.
Uh-uh.
It's kind of like when you're out with your friends or whatever, and it's, you know, you want your buddy to do something stupid, and you're like, you won't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty much gets me
fucking do that.
Yeah, it's just psychology. Like when you tell me I won't do something, I'm like, yeah, I will. But like other people, they'd be like, no, I won't, because that's just who I am, and I don't have to do anything you say.
So true.
So, but you're saying it wasn't a factor either way. They're just saying they support you no matter what. So this is.
And but the funny thing is that my brother and I are like complete opposites.
Tell me he's an accountant.
He's 25, so he's 3 years older than me, or 94.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys 93?
I'm a 93.
93.
A 92.
What's up?
Okay, wow, nice. I'm 97.
Geezer.
But he's like the opposite, where I'm like a positive. He's more of like a pessimistic thinker.
A realist.
Sorry, Charlie.
He'd call himself a realist.
What does he do?
He just works for. He's a major accounts specialist at a tiling company. Just literally did it after his 5th year of university. He's like, I just want a job. I want a 9 to 5. I just want a paycheck, and that's gonna be my life, I guess. I've come to the terms, and
Ain't
I'm like,
nothing fucking wrong with that, though.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
My sister said the same thing.
But he hates his job, and it was really ruining his mental health.
Oh.
And I was like, bro, you need to find something else. And then he finally got like a raise, and he's like, I'll stay. The day he was gonna quit, they're like, we'll give you a raise, and he's like, all right, I guess I'm staying.
I don't want to generalize, but I find people in much more traditional jobs or like traditional paths, whether it's like doctors or lawyers, they tend to be more pessimistic about, you know, taking chances and risk, right? They're much more calculated people.
Totally.
And,
they can't see
maybe
like,
not doctors or lawyers as much, but
more of the like accountants.
Yeah, I see
finance.
Managers, sales, or maybe not even sales, but like more like core activities that usually have a big structure around them. They follow a ladder. Everything is kind of laid out. I do see that from my parents, but not pessimistic, because they're super positive people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Realistic.
Realistic.
Your brother would call
I would
it
say pessimistic.
Yeah.
I would just say they can't like turn every situation into a positive, and that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm a like if something bad happens, I'm like, how can we look at this in like a positive light instead of a negative? Some people can't think that way, but that's fine. Everyone's different, right? That's what makes the world go around.
I think also being in the office, like my sister is a perfect example. Same deal. She traveled for a bit. She came back and she's like, I want a job. Like I want to. I
get to the point where you just do.
She doesn't mind the 9 to 5 and being done with her work day at the end. She likes the corporate style of here's my life, here's my work. It's not all figured out for her, but it's simplified. And I think a part of being in that culture is society also kind of says like you should also hate Sundays and like complain about work because that's what everyone does. So I feel like they're all just like, this Sunday I gotta go back to work. But like that's also just a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Whereas we have a friend that just decided one day to be like fired up to go to work, and he just changed his mentality. And I'm like, oh, like you don't actually have to, even if it's a job that he struggles with.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I just was like, you know what? No, work is my home. Like I want to be back there.
Good.
And then he just changed that, and I was like, oh, like you can just flick a switch on it. But I feel like the culture,
it's like everyone's if you could be that person, but everyone's trying to like get in and be like, no.
Yeah, you can't. We all have to hate this together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Unless it's an awesome workplace,
or
like the millennial
like
startup place. Oh, I would love. Honestly, I wouldn't mind a 9 to 5 because they have some sweet. Like that event
dope
we were at,
offices.
That event we were.
That's so
cool.
cool.
Robbie and I were at an event last night. He was working. I just went because I wanted. It was a travel tech event, and like some of the sponsors who were there, they have such cool offices, like in the King West area, and like such awesome benefits and perks. And just like so much fun, and I wouldn't mind doing that, and it'd be fun. Everyone's like really cool.
Lit. Like I did a few summers
awesome
working corporate. If it's at a good place, I've done
weekends off, and then you get off at happy hour. It's the best.
Play ping pong every day. Free coffee.
Yeah.
Like
you get a MacBook Pro at some places. Benefits.
And they're so liberal with what you wear these days.
Yeah,
like
you can wear
offices,
whatever
like
you
office
want.
attire.
They got beer and fucking snack fridges and salad bars.
Oh my god, yeah, it's crazy. Snacks, free everything.
Yeah, like dude,
I
don't need to
slides.
You don't need to
pits.
glamorize the entrepreneurial life because it actually it sucks as much as anything else. Like you don't know how much.
That's where co-working spaces come in, and that's the new innovation.
But still, you're paying for that. Whereas people are paying you to be in these offices.
So true.
So they both have their perks and cons, and different type of people are suited for different type of environments. Where I value my my control and my time management more than I value, say, some of the pros I get from them. And I value these cons, or like I put the cons from this side less than the cons from that side. It's like they both have pros and cons, and it's not all peas and gravy over here.
It's fucking. It sucks sometimes.
But just
working
for
by yourself.
our personalities, that's just how I'd rather be in this shit pile. If you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, you guys are musicians. Like, at least you have each other. Let's say you didn't have each other and it was a solo thing. That
We talk about this.
We talk about it
often.
And I'm honestly jealous. Like, I always like said, everyone's like, why don't you like start your own whatever? I'm like, I can't work by myself.
It sucks.
Need a partner and someone where we can work well together, or like a team, because being by myself, like, yeah, I can like when I'm editing, like that's for me, but like I need a team to get me there, you know? And you guys are like a great team, and you're also best friends, and you like are a family almost.
But it's what happened with the jewelry business. I had 4 partners. It was dope. Could do it every day, all day. Loved it. I was like, we're going to make this big. 2 partners graduated. Me and the final partner we just got in each other's nerves. And then the business ended up in my lap. And it was cool. I was going through incubators, so I had support, co-working spaces, but I was still alone, pushing it forward. And it became so not fun. And then I struggled, and I found Robbie, who at the very least was just like, you know what, I'm down to do this struggle with you. And that was enough for me. I was like, you know what, just to have someone to go through it with. I wasn't like, what are your skills? Like, what are you good at? Even there was a part at the beginning where I was like, we have to get you going. Yeah. But it was worth worth chiseling away, because just having someone who's a good friend, who's honest, who's willing to stick through the shit with you is more valuable than finding some like workaholic that just is not going to stick it with you. It's not going to be by your actual partner. So
totally,
we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah, and it's rippled over into everything else that we do, like all the other creative projects and work that we have going on. So it definitely makes it easy having that, you know, sort of backboard we can like bounce ideas off of. And
100%. Is that?
That's Kevin. Producer Kev.
Kev, the pod producer.
Kev, you don't have a mic going.
What's up? Oh.
Hello.
Good to see you. I think we're getting close to the hour mark.
Yeah.
But is there any things? Oh, there's a few things I wanted to talk to you about. If we haven't covered on them yet. Okay. 2 things.
Yeah.
While you were traveling.
Yeah.
Was there any like love stories? Like, did you fall in love with some Italian man?
There are
some salmonella man.
Of like, you know, you meet people.
Salmonese man.
There's a bunch of men that I've met. Yeah. Nothing that
no like Notebook style
was
romances.
Long where I fell in love madly.
Okay.
Because I don't like fall in love easily. I'm like very picky with, you know, just things, picky for relationship wise. But but the funny thing is that when I was working in Banff, someone I met there, he works for a company called Kentucky, and he's been traveling all over Europe. He leads groups, and he came back, and we've always like, we'll keep in touch. We're in the industry, like we're great friends. And I always had a crush on him. Nice. And he came back, and he was the first. I think I was the first person that he saw when he landed, and we went for dinner. It was great. I didn't think anything of it, romantic wise. So I was just like, this is great.
I know, dinner.
And then we ended up seeing each other again.
Get the hint, it's dinner.
He ended up staying with me a few weekends, and great guy. If you're watching, shout out.
And
now he's back in Europe. So it was like a short, nice little thing.
What's his name?
James.
James.
It's my middle name. What up,
James? What's up, James?
He's probably gonna watch.
Okay, cool. So no, I was just asking because another big thing on this podcast is, as I said, like dating. And
I love talking about. Those are like the main podcasts I listen to.
Do you listen to the chicks in the office and like the Barstool Call Her Daddy ones? Or
I hate Call Her Daddy.
Same.
Even though I literally have listened to 10 seconds of it, I don't like it. I listen to You Up, which is by the Betches. Do you know the Betches on Instagram?
100%.
It's one of the girls and this guy Jared Freed. He's so funny. It's like a guy and girl perspective on modern dating and like today. And then there's another one called Girls Gotta Eat, and they're like 30-year-old girls, but they're
like Sex in the City vibes.
No, they're just like give like real good, honest. Just like they talk. It's a great podcast for a girl. And then there's a few other ones, but those ones I've been listening to recently, and they're just like so fun to listen to. Like great stories.
I've never heard of them.
Lots of perspectives changed. You learn a lot. It's good. Good it's comedy. It's just good.
So
insight.
do you in Toronto and traveling, are you thinking about like, is again one of the things I think about, also a picky guy, have trouble with feelings.
Yeah.
And that, I just imagine, I was like, you know what? I think it's because my life's so tumultuous. Maybe I don't see commitment as being something easy for, like, is I don't know what's going on with me. So I find committing to things dangerous or like maybe scary. I don't know. I've tried to figure it out. But when I think about decisions like traveling, moving to LA, I think about people, like a future, like how is my love life and who am I going to marry? Because I think that's so important.
Especially as you get older, you start thinking about that.
What's your philosophies on it? Like you say you're hard to get in relationships and you're really picky, but then do you use the apps or do you use like friend connections? Or like,
I dabble with the apps. Don't really necessarily like them too much because I like to go off of like an energy, so I can match with like the hottest guy, and then we like meet up and he's just like not that fun to talk to, and then I'm like, okay, well, this was whatever, like wasn't that fun. Like we could hook up, we could not, but
would you pay for the dinner or do you take those free dinners? Because if you say pay for it,
I'll always like offer to split it, and if he doesn't want or he'll just
offer. But then if he takes you up on the split, does that taint your perspective?
I have my own money. I can.
Oh my God.
I don't like to like be the girl to make people pay for me.
If I was a girl,
I mean,
I'm talking free drinks. I'm talking dinner dates.
It's obviously great.
I'm talking. I'd have a sugar daddy. For sure.
Yeah.
An allowance?
But what I was going to say is that about like the dating thing is what they talk about a lot in the podcast is this is just a typical, I guess, your basic, but a lot of girls, this is the difference between girls and guys, is a lot of girls, I think we were talking about this last time, is that girls like go into, a lot of girls like want boyfriends, they want a relationship before they even realize like what they want, like or like they don't even like love themselves before they can love someone else. So they like go in and they're like, oh, you're like a cute boy, like, oh, now I want to be my boyfriend. And I'm like, and then guys are just like, okay, let's see where it goes before I like develop feelings and whatever. Girls like already go into it like, okay, I want to make you my boyfriend, even though I don't even know if I actually like it. And then it's like, okay, what do you like about him? Like, what's so special about him? And they're like,
they like romanticize having a boyfriend.
Exactly. And then they like, it gets in their head a little bit, where I am just like, I love being single because having to deal with someone else's stuff is a lot. Being like commit to other people is a lot. I love my own schedule. I love like doing shit on my own. And like, yeah, it's fun to like go out and be with people. It's nice to have like a person, but I don't want to dedicate so much. I know how much time and effort, like when I like someone, and it's a lot of effort and emotional like, stuff too. And that's like, you need to, and I don't want to just give that to anybody. I want it to be someone who I actually think is that like worthy of it. Cause once you like know your value, for so long, like I've just constantly been working on myself. So I'm like at a place where like, if you're not at that same level sort of thing where we're both two people, like we're doing our things and we're just like, we're not matching in that area, then I don't know, it's not something I'm chasing. I'm just like, it will happen when it happens, and I'm not like worried about it. Because also it's also like the reason why James and I got along so well is because we both have the same lifestyle. We both get the travel lifestyle. So that's something we like really connected on as well. In the city, it's like sometimes harder to, I don't know, there's like a city mentality that I like to, with everything, like we were talking before, a city mentality. And when I come back from my trips, I get into a funk where I'm like, it's like the transition period. And then when I go traveling again, it's also another funk, and it's a transitional period that I need to get into. But once I'm like in it again, like once travel mode is turned on, I'm like going, and it's like I feel like I'm on top of the world. But anyway. No,
that makes a lot of sense. The relationship philosophy stuff, I don't know if I'll ever figure it out.
I think you will. You just
Oh yeah,
give
okay,
people
for sure.
chances. Obviously,
I give
I give people chances.
I guess
maybe don't.
especially with how much you're up and leaving all the time too, it makes it hard for
Yeah.
you to be tied down in one place exactly
Yeah,
too,
and
right?
in my
So that's a
head
big
too, to be like emotionally tied down.
yeah.
So
Just professional relationships, like just like absolute like just completely professional, like just scheduling dates, like just send calendar
no,
invites.
to be
you know,
honest, like
just-
I'm not like I'm really chill. Like when I'm in Toronto, like I have a lot of free time. I'm just chilling. I live downtown. It's fun.
Go to school.
I love cocktail hour. Love a drink.
Same.
Like it's my
Same.
favorite. Like when the sun's going down. You're
Oh
like,
yeah.
I just want
Do
to drink.
do you go to the bar in your building a lot?
Not really, actually.
No?
I like sometimes.
If I had a bar
It's really
in my building, I feel like I would.
expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
I like don't honestly. I don't go out that much because I'm trying to save. Like another thing about being a traveler is you gotta save a lot of money if you want to go traveling again.
That's true. I guess you're always
So I'm very
looking-
budget conscious.
You're always budgeting for the next trip,
Yeah.
right?
We're the opposite. When you don't need to travel,
Yeah.
you just look at what am I going to spend next?
Yeah,
you know,
I
like,
never spend.
I'm going to spend mentality.
I'm not a shopper. I'm not a spender.
I'm not a shopper, but I'm a spender.
Okay.
If I have extra cash laying around, it's burning a hole in my, you know, I'm like,
Yeah, okay.
maybe I could buy 10 subs.
That's just how.
That's the
what-
first thing on your
hey,
list.
When you're a
10
rock star,
subs.
that's how it is.
I know.
It's
I do think the career is going to be, I think all my issues with relationships and stuff, I have a feeling are going to be solved by the rock star life.
totally.
You know,
Or by-
and spending and like travel and like just how I like to do things
Yeah,
is
it's
exactly how a rock star does things.
Yeah, you
I-
already looked the part, so
I think
you're on your way.
solved by a concrete focus. And I think that's like one thing that kind of like confuses me sometimes too, is that like both of us have our energy in so many different things going on. It's like you've got all these businesses plus music plus the podcast and stuff, and it sort of jumbles up your brain
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
thinking about that kind of stuff, right? And it's all kind of uncertain, you know, and what's next, and you're always thinking about what's going on in your own day-to-day schedule, that it makes it hard to, you know, slot in extra time for someone else.
Right? That's exactly. I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, well,
Period.
I was a student, so
Mhm.
it was class and then other random shit and then like fun and
go on 20 dates. Why not? You know what I mean? It's like
Hey.
free dinners.
yeah, it's
Oh,
fun
wow.
time. Summer's gonna be good.
I really hope this gender role equalization thing speeds up, because if it ever flipped the other way, I'd be going on.
I mean-
I'd be getting fed. Like dates.
Selling yourself.
The day. I hope it's not too far down the
You
future.
would have a 1-date rule, eh?
It would, we'll see. But
Another thing about dates though that I don't really like, for example, Tinder dates or whatever, or Bumble dates or Hinge, all those apps, is I hate. The reason why I honestly don't go on a lot is because when you go on it, you both have this like expectation we're already supposed to like each other.
Mm.
We're already like we've matched, so you must be like into me.
yeah,
When, you know, I don't know what you're like in person, and I'm someone who like goes off of energy as opposed to just like what you look like. And then there's like an expectation sometimes that just like
that'll be a
I might
second
not
date.
I might not like you, and it's sometimes like I feel bad rejecting people. I also don't want to be rejected. So it's like you can, you know, sometimes they have an expectation at the end, like, oh, we're gonna go here. Like a lot of people like want to do like really late night drinks, and it's like,
So,
you know
do you
what
want to
they're
go for
trying to
drinks
do.
at like 12:30 maybe? At
Yeah.
your place?
Yeah, literally, that's happened a bunch of times, and it's like, I don't know, I'm just like not into that so much. Like I like to.
I don't blame you.
I like to know that I like someone first, and like
Yeah.
really in like a friend, just like as a person before. I mean, it depends. It depends.
I
on
love
the
this.
time of-
This is like
it
stream of
depends how many
consciousness.
drinks.
So like
But
you
I'm just saying, like, there's an expectation that, or even if you don't like them, like you have to like either ghost them, say no, like send them like
Yeah.
a sorry text.
you have to make an out.
And it's like It's not fun to make an out all the time.
You have an
know?
out. You're like, I could be traveling at any minute.
True. Or you just make up a lie.
But-
and then
but-
you run into
but,
them
like, when
later.
you go
It's
to meet
happened
them-
before.
I'm back.
But when you go to meet them, you have to make an out, so that in case like it's not going well. That
I
you
see
just-
the
Yeah.
date all the way through,
Listen, you give them a kiss.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
and then you're a bit hard to contact for the next date.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
It's simple.
It's happened many times.
This is great. I want to wrap things up.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I heard your story, so I think it's really cool.
Oh, thanks.
And I'm excited to see where it goes. And I like that this conversation wasn't all about unsureness, because that's a lot of ours are like, how unsure are you? And they're like, so unsure.
Oh, really?
How unsure are you? I'm like, fucking, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you're kind of on the opposite side of the
You're
spectrum.
like, this is
Wow,
what I'm
love it.
doing, bitch. Like, I'm going around and I'm going to do all this stuff. And I like listening to that energy.
Good.
Is there
Hope you guys do
anything
too.
you wanted to say? Say there's someone out there listening. It's no pressure if you don't. I can just say some bullshit. But anything you want to say to wrap things up,
Yes. I'd like to say to all my 20-year-olds out there to not listen to the crowd. Do what feels right to you at your own pace. If you have a desire in you that you want to follow, but the outside world is telling you that it might not be realistic, or you have some sort of like passion that you want to explore, just fucking do it and see where it takes you, and meet new people and get outside your like little bubble that you're in, because your world will open up once you do. So
Cool.
that's what I'm gonna say.
That was really well said.
Oh, thank you.
I think I was just thinking to myself, if I was put on the spot like that on a podcast, I'd probably struggle to make such a coherent statement like that.
Speak.
Yes,
I would love to be a motivational speaker. one
Robbie
day.
was
That was
pretty
great.
funny early days podcast. I'd be like, and what do you think, Robbie? He'd be like,
Yeah,
Oh.
I remember.
he would tell me, he's
I've grown,
I
yeah.
know it's just a recording and we could edit it, but in his mind, Robbie's sitting in front of 200 people right now, and he's like, I felt like I was on stage all over again.
I know. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I commented on when I first listened. I was
Yeah.
like, Trav just like talks the whole time, and then Robbie sneaks in there with like a few like
well, Trav,
very
could talk to
meaningful
this wall
comments.
for the
Yeah,
next
Yeah.
hour. if you
sometimes I
wanted him
chat to this guy right here.
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, she's a great one.
Oh, it's a girl. I didn't
yeah,
know I
I
was
think it's a
hitting
girl.
on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
nice.
wall's
What's
got
up,
a great
baby?
story too.
That's a nice wall. But yeah,
Thank you so much for having me.
thanks for coming.
It was a
and
great time.
Thanks for sharing your story, and we'll wrap this up, Robbie. We will see you next.
Tuesday.
See you
Adios.
later. Ciao.
You've been